bit of news. So the MiSTer gets some massive updates this week. So in big news for MiSTer, there's multiple new cores released and some sad news for PS1 lovers. So just to recap on the MiSTer itself. So the MiSTer project aims to replicate gaming hardware. So that's consoles, arcade, and also computers like the Commodore 64. And trying to replicate that on a hardware level using field programmable gate arrays, or better known as FPGAs. Most of the time, this results in cycle accurate emulation. It still is emulation, but I just think cycle accurate replication of what the hardware is actually doing. So you are playing the games as they were sort of like played in the old days, but you can play it on your big screen TV or on an old school CRT like myself. So in terms of the 3 updates this week, so the long awaited and anticipated CPS2 core has been released by Jatago as a public beta. So this has been available on his Patreon. So we've got the details in the YouTube clip for the Patreon. But essentially, CPS2, what the hell is that? So that's the Capcom System 1/1.5 and 2. So that's games like Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3, Marvel vs. Capcom, Alien vs. Predator, and then all the variations on the Street Fighter 2 games. All of those games perfectly replicated in hardware form on this little box that you can pump out to your big screen or anything, play in lots of different styles, arcade sticks, whatever you want to do. So it's pretty much the best way to play these games now. This makes me super excited, and it kind of pushes it across the line that I'm going to have to pick one of these things up, and they are pretty expensive. So once you do everything, it's probably like $600 to, get the full kit and everything that I would want on it. But as you can see, and some of the other things I'll cover shortly, I think it's pretty worth it. Second bit of news, and this is a bit sad for me because I was carefully following this. The other core that was really everyone was really amped about was the PlayStation 1. So most people believe that you can replicate the PlayStation 1 on a field programmable gate array or FPGA the current ones that they are available. So that's about the cap, most people believe. I think, Nintendo 64 and beyond is probably a bit too much for these things to replicate. So there has been a massive Patreon sort of push by Laxa 3A and Ultra to replicate this. So there's a big Patreon that's supporting the efforts. There does seem to be a massive fallout between those two devs. So it hasn't really been fully explained, but these two guys are just having at each other. They kind of hate each other now.
It's Mr. Drama.
Mr. Drama. That should be the thumbnail. I'll just post it. Right, but so yeah, there's a bit of Mr. Drama, and yeah, essentially Laxa 3 is just pulled out and I'm not going to be on socials. I'm getting off everything. I'm publishing all the code that I've got so far, and I'm turning off the Patreon, which has, I don't know, last time I checked, 300, 400, 500, 600 people on the Patreon. So it's genuine money being pumped through this. And then he's basically said, well, Ultra now has he has to carry it on and try to finish it as he promised he will. So yeah, there's a lot of bad blood there, which is really shit because I was really looking forward to that PlayStation 1 core. And I think eventually the PlayStation 1 core will come. And I think when that happens, I think MiSTer may hit the mainstream because it's just the perfect way to get PlayStation games running on that thing. And then just the final update, and another really, really cool one. This person, Robert Peep, I guess you'd call it, P-E-I-P. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. They've actually created a custom core for Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. So as I said, these are all, cycle accurate emulators, but replications of the original. And essentially what you can do now is just say on the big screen TV, you can have 2 copies of Game Boy games linked together virtually, but on the screen, and play 2-player or co-op or versus games on your big screen TV. And I just think this is so really cool, right? You can imagine Pokemon and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And you can play, it feels, I don't know, there's something about this where it's using super old tech and then insanely new tech to bring together something that just really, really awesome. And I think this is the cool thing of MiSTer in general. A lot of this cool shit is coming out and you just can't get in other things a product I have, the Analog.
Why would you put a line piece there?
Yeah, we're just, again, Mike not understanding we're mostly an audio podcast.
There's a Tetris, there's a multiplayer Tetris, the Game Boy version playing, and someone put a bloody line piece in the completely wrong spot.
My wife is insanely good at Tetris, and this is like shocking gameplay.
So I'm waiting for when they can do this for Faceball 2000, because you can technically play 16 players on the Game Boy version, and there's actually a Guinness World Record for most players on a single Game Boy multiplayer session by having to use multiple link cables and link ports and splitters, so funny. You could get 16 people playing on the same session of Faceball.
Maybe you'd have to connect the MiSTers together. So I did do a bit of background reading on this. Supposedly, Robert had to actually slim down the core to be able to have the headroom to run to, I think it was mostly Game Boy Advance, because that's a 32-bit console, handheld, to run two things simultaneously. There was a bit of overhead. So just jump on the Patreon. I've put the links in the description. It will show you how to actually install these. This is not default into MiSTer. It's actually something you need to do a little bit extra to get this working, but I think it's well worth it. I think this is such a cool thing to do, and it's so cool to see it because the Game Boy and Game Boy Color are just perfect sizes to actually show side by side on a 16:9 screen. It's almost designed for it.
I'm just looking at the footage of Super Mario 1. Was it Mario? Is it Mario Dance 2? Oh, DX. Sorry, DX. Yeah. Man, way better experience than playing Mario Maker 2 multiplayer, lag free. Bloody on the Game Boy Color.
This is all local, to be fair, but yeah, you are correct though. You are correct. I don't know, it's just a very cool little thing, and I think it's just another reason why MiSTer's such a cool project. And I don't know, I shouldn't say this on the podcast, but I've been debating about selling my analog Super NT to purchase one of these. Because I don't know if I could justify having.
¿Por qué no los dos?
I don't know what that means.
It means
why not both? Yeah, why not both? I kind of realized that the last second. It's just very extravagant to have two FPGA consoles.
Just the man with a 50 amiibo.
Where I got all this stuff in the background.
Amiibos,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I look, maybe I'll ask for, a combined Christmas birthday present or something and get it. I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know. But yeah, it's really cool. I'll do a lot more updates if I do pick up a MiSTer, which I'm almost certain I will. But then I'm gonna get screwed because then I'm gonna end up getting a fight stick for all the arcade fighting games, and it's just gonna get out of control.
You must be one of the only husbands in the world that potentially asks their wife for an FPGA MiSTer console.
Hey, honey,
Christmas.
can I have what now?
I give my wife a lot of credit. She she got the the SNES, the SD to SNES Pro. Sorry, I should say, and the Super NT. She got all of it for me, for birthdays and Christmas and stuff. So yeah,
that's really cool. She knows about it.
Yeah,
I have to give just on that note, my girlfriend a bit of credit as well, because I recently got into mechanical keyboards, which bad idea, and I had another one rock up 2 days ago. And I'm like, man, she's going to notice this. This is a problem because it's a distinctively different looking keyboard because half the keys are white and half are black. So I'm like, hang on a minute. I can swap out the black key caps from my other keyboard and she's never going to know. So I did that, grinned to myself, happy days. She comes home, walks into my room. The first thing she says is, what the fuck is that? I'm like, what's what?
Obviously, she's a mechanical keyboard fan too.
Obviously, she is, yeah. So I have to give her a lot more credit that she actually pays attention to the shit that I do. So.
All right. That